And Bjork, yeah, bam, 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 you fell in love.
Death metal! Death metal forever!
Hey, so last Friday, I went to my local Cineworld to watch The Northman. And what was very interesting, the audience I sat with were all from different walks of life, all very diverse, because I mention that for a very, very good reason, because there are some nutcases out there who are pointing fingers at the director, Robert Eggers, for implying he could be part of a certain supremacist group out there, because wow, Robert Eggers is a white dude, he's quite buff, he's got a short buzz cut. Oh my god, he's not one of them, is he? No, he just happens to be a very talented film director who does not give a shit and wants to make the kind of movies he wants to make. I mean, if you've seen The Lighthouse, The Witch, you know what kind of path this guy is going on. And I've said it once and I will say it again, Marvel and Disney and DC had better not get their hands on him. Let this man continue to churn out cult classic movies. I remember back in the day, it was on BBC Two, you used to have Alex Cox. He used to present this BBC late night show on cult movies. And you know what? If that guy was still going, if that show was still going, if this was the 1980s all over again, I guarantee you The Northman will be one of those films that gets that prestige treatment. But of course now, I'm not going to talk about the actual plot of the movie. That's not what I do here on my channel. I'm just here to give you my ever-loving impressions. Now, Alexander Skarsgård, phenomenal actor. I've already talked about him in a previous video, how phenomenal I think this dude actually is. And he plays Prince Amleth. And when we see him, he's as a little kid at first, and then you get some really hilarious moments where Willem Dafoe, he pops up as this crazy, I don't know what, he's like a mystical being who takes Amleth through manhood. That scene alone is just absolutely bonkers. That's the only way to phrase it. And look, if you're going to get someone to be bonkers, it might as well be Dafoe, right? Because that man is a class act. And I will say about this film, like the other person who stands toe-to-toe with Skarsgård is Anya Taylor-Joy. Now that woman, she's a banger, man. She is so good looking. She's quirky, she's different, and I hope in years to come she never succumbs to the surgeon's knife in Hollywood to make herself look younger, because I tell you what, the one weak point of this film would be Nicole Kidman, and in fact I'll come back to her in a few moments, but Anya Taylor-Joy gets to be Valkyrie in one moment of the movie, not that shit we've got in the MCU. And also, I will say this, watch the first season of Vikings before you watch The Northman. Now, I'm not a Viking expert, I know nothing about the lore, but one thing I know that is correct about this film is that it is set in historical times, based on the accurate descriptions we have about the Vikings. So when you walk in there, don't expect to see the Netflix version called Vikings Valhalla, because we know what a pile of shit that show is. Oh, I had to get that maniacal laugh out of the way. And I will say, going back to Nicole Kidman, the thing that distracted me about her performance was just her plastic surgery. You can see it, but mind you, they shot this film in Iceland, and towards the third act of the movie, I thought that Nicole Kidman's face started to look a little bit distorted, and I thought, hey ho, this is pretty interesting. I kind of like this, and I think it was obviously a deliberate point of the director. From what I remember, there's a video out there with Skarsgård and Taylor-Joy talking about the fact they didn't wear makeup for the film, and I think they used some natural lighting. They may or may not have done that. Same thing that they did with The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy. And this film, yeah, I really enjoyed this film. Like the first half, like when you see Skarsgård doing that hunched animalistic walk, and he's got the long blonde hair, and he just goes into tearing up a village. That is fucking fantastic. I love that. That's just really, really good. Then it kind of slows down a bit, because if you've seen Gladiator, this film kind of follows a similar path in some ways, which is fine. I don't mind that. Rather than remaking Gladiator, just turn him into a Viking. and cast a Swedish actor in the role. It makes sense. Iceland looks absolutely beautiful in this film. The cinematography, I would say, is on par with the Vikings TV show from the History Channel. It's as good as that. It really is. And of course, comparing TV and film cinematography is probably a little bit unfair, but there are some really outstanding TV shows that has amazing cinematography, like Succession is another TV show I can think of. And wow, Bjork apparently is in this movie. I didn't see her. I did not recognize her. So she's probably heavily disguised. And Bjork, yeah. Bam, 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 bam. You fell in love. Yeah, you don't get her breaking out into that because obviously this is an historical masterpiece. And yeah, all the chapters are broken up into Scandinavian text, which I thought was really, really cool. Robert Eggers co-wrote this with, I don't know who it is, if it's like a brother or a relative with a Swedish sounding first name. So that's kind of really good. And Robert Eggers just stuck to his guns. Pretty much like J.R.R. Tolkien, you're going to give us a story that's kind of grounded. It's based on, in this case, Nordic mythology. And I absolutely loved it. Like the third act of this film is an outblown horror movie. You do get a kind of a gladiator moment with Skarsgård, but I think when Russell Crowe had his turn in 2000, it was a lot more impactful. This one, you're kind of reminded of that, but it didn't matter in the end because it was just a really enjoyable film. And again, like I said, I watched it with a diverse audience who did not give a shit because they know what they were going to watch in the first place. And I'll say the way I would summarize this movie, it's a celebration of the patriarchy. It's down with the matriarchy, but then at the end, you kind of respect the matriarchy one more time. When you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. My recommendation for the Northman, it's a big Viking horn, seal of approval from yours truly. So folks, if you enjoyed this video today, do me a big favor. Hit that like button, get a pair of scissors and cut that long blonde hair like it belonged to Alexander Skarsgård. And if I were you, I would check me out on my next video.
In the ass end of space, even aliens watch Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog. Duke Nukem approves this guy.